Okay. Kimya?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shri. I'm a student from class second year BMS of Vedanta College, Vittalwadi. Namaste and a warm welcome to our esteemed speaker of the day, Shri Suresh Prabhu sir, and respected principals and faculty from different regions of Bharat. We are honored to have you all with us today at this national level faculty development program on Indian knowledge system organized by Vedanta College. This program aims to explore and delve into the rich and diverse knowledge system of India. As we begin the program, let us take a moment to acknowledge and pay respects to our ancestors who have preserved and promoted through generation the incredible wisdom of ancient India. Now, we will be playing the national anthem. Let us stand together and pay our respect to the nation and its spirit.
Come on. Yeah, play for me.
जनगणमन जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गावे तब जय गाथा जन गण जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you, and let us proceed with the program. We wish you all a fruitful and enlightening experience. Now, I request our principal, Dr. Sangeeta Kohli ma'am, to say a few words about our college and IKS.
Dil se namaste to you, Shri Suresh Prabhu sir, and our dear participants of the day. So today we are truly privileged to have an opportunity to listen to your highly intellectual talk. You are extremely busy. You just now told me you are at Konkan and there is a problem with the light and the range. Yet you are making you're making yourself available for the academic fraternity. We are highly grateful. Sir, we would like to thank you for taking your time off, and I'll just take 2 minutes to brief the audience. Kautilya's Arthashastra is the earliest foundational text which covers wide-ranging areas of strategy for good governance, particularly related to economics and finance. Kautilya's wisdom is till date considered to be unparalleled. His views on education are exceptionally relevant in today's times. He said, education shall aim at 3 outcomes in graduates: Vidya, creation of new knowledge; Vivek, wisdom to use the right knowledge in right time and place for right purpose; and Vichakshnata, the skill sets to get proper results of knowledge in real life. I'm sure today's session will help us enhance our above 3 outcomes so that we can fruitfully pass it on to our dear students. I will not take much time as every participant is eager to listen to you, sir. Thank you again for your continuous support. I request Kimaya to introduce sir.
Thank you, Principal ma'am, for sharing your views. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce Shri Suresh Prabhu sir, a leader who has been at the forefront of India's progress across multiple sectors. Sir is a distinguished Indian politician, leader, and academician with an extensive record of public service and achievements. He currently serves as the founding chancellor of Rishihood University, demonstrating his commitment to education and the nurturing of future leaders. Additionally, he is a visiting professor at the London School of Economics, Grantham Research Institute, and adjunct professor at the National Institute of Advanced Studies, NIAS, Bangalore. Prabhu sir has had a remarkable career, having served as a union minister in various capacities, including railways, commerce and industry, civil aviation, and power. Under his leadership as the Minister of Railways, India witnessed one of the most ambitious transformations in the sector with the initiatives that modernized infrastructure and improved efficiency. As the Minister of Commerce and Industry, Shri Suresh Prabhu sir was instrumental in shaping policies that boosted India's global trade and investment landscape. His work in civil aviation paved the way for the rapid expansion of air connectivity across the country, bringing the skies closer to millions of Indians. Sir's contribution go beyond just policy making. He is a passionate advocate for sustainable development, renewable energy, and environmental conservation. His visionary approach has earned him accolades both nationally and internationally. We are truly privileged to have Mr. Suresh Prabhu sir with us today. I request Shri Suresh Prabhu sir to share his valuable insights on a highly important topic, financial system and Indian knowledge system.
So thank you very much, Maya. Thank you very much, Dr. Kohli, for giving me this opportunity to be not only in the midst of you, but also to connect with a lot of like-minded people
Yes, sir.
who are right now interested to pursue the important part of our history. The knowledge is hidden there, and the knowledge is like a water in the well. You take it out, then only you get it.
Yes.
Till it is not taken out, you'll not be able to drink it.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, this is something which is so important that we have organized this very important event. Dr. Kohli, I congratulate you for making this very interesting topic to begin with, Indian knowledge system. In a way, knowledge is not just a monopoly of our own civilization. Knowledge has always been there with all the human beings, with so many different species. But that knowledge is something which never flew or never was not flowing continuously, only because there was a break in several civilizations. Ours, we are very fortunate that ours is a single longest living civilization. We have lived here for a few thousand years, and in that process of living on this planet, intermingling with so many different parts of the geography of the world, we have learned a lot from them. And through that process of learning, relearning, using our own knowledge source as well as our own brains, we have refined that knowledge to a significant level. And that knowledge is something which we can call it as the Indian knowledge. Indian knowledge is into various spheres. It's in science, it's in geography, it's in very different parts of life. We also believe that we had a knowledge about the outer space, and we had all kinds of knowledge. But we realized that is knowledge, and this particular session that I'm going to speak on is to dealing with economic issues. When I said that we have this knowledge in many spheres of life, I will always say that what is important in the fundamental part is a knowledge that comes from a philosophical bent of mind. So Indian philosophy is something which really captures the essence of life in a significant way. Gurudev Ranade, who was also revered by none other than Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, who himself was a philosopher. But he always believed that Dr. Ranade, Gurudev Ranade, had such a fantastic understanding about Indian philosophy. He would probably be one of the first or the earliest scholar who started working on Indian philosophy in a significant. His contribution in terms of writing several books on this, whether it's Upanishad or whether it's Indian philosophy generally, Vedic philosophy. So he has done all that. So therefore, Indian knowledge flows from our clear understanding about the cosmic laws of this nature. It also comes from the fact that we realize that we are born on this planet not just for in pursuit of doing something other than understanding our own self. And that's the philosophy. So philosophy is a fundamental of Indian knowledge. So when you talk about Indian knowledge system, we must also pursue this understanding about Indian knowledge system going into the philosophy, which is is a bedrock of our entire knowledge system, which we call it as an Indian knowledge traditional knowledge. Now coming to this very interesting topic, because I said we have knowledge on many things. Ultimately, we use that knowledge and how that knowledge will be stored in the institutional memory of this society. There has to be some methodology. So we chose many few thousand years ago, probably, or even definitely 3,000 years ago, we chose to decide that we should be ruled by someone who has the ability to conduct the affairs of the state. So to begin with, obviously there was a king who actually used to assume the role of a guardian, of somebody who will actually run the state for the welfare of the people, and to conduct the affairs of the state, to make sure that the government runs, we needed money. And that's what I'm thankful to Dr. Kohli for inviting me to talk on that topic. So to run the affairs, whether I said we had a knowledge of outer space, we had knowledge about geomorphology, we had knowledge about what is happening below the surface, about my minerals, we had knowledge about water management, we had understanding about agriculture. So agriculture came much earlier, 11,000 years ago, but we also had understanding about all of that. But to make this all function and to make sure that even knowledge is pursued, we needed the university, we needed the state, and the state had to be run. So to run the state, we needed money. And therefore, finance became a very critical part of this entire Indian knowledge system. And therefore, one of the earliest, he was a genius. So he was a scholar. He knew the art of running the state. So he knew the statecraft. And therefore, one Chanakya, he has written on extensively on this. But particularly, and I'm glad that you shared me a research paper, which also goes into the on the periphery of this very important subject, and that is Arthashastra. I read it quite a few times in the past, and I'm just trying to recollect some of these very important aspects of that. Firstly, Chanakya was probably, maybe now, if you could look at it historically, maybe 2,300 years ago or something like that, in that part, so a long time ago. But he wrote something which has a validity even today. But as he would himself would have said if he was there today and talking to you on this seminar and talking on this, he would have said, don't accept what I said 2,300 years ago. Accept something which is relevant to today's times. But what is important is the point he always highlighted, and I always believe in that, is that state. When we call it today government, the government is basically the arm of the state. So state cannot be run unless it has no edifice which is based on ethics. So if you don't follow ethics, you'll never be able to rule any government, any part of the country's operations. So ethics was a fundamental principle which he always expounded, and he felt that without ethics, you cannot survive. So it is like we can always believe that in also modern times, we believe the dharma. And dharma is what? Dharma is what is not adharma. But that's not a negative definition of dharma. I'm just trying to simplify by saying this. But dharma in essence means following all the universal truth that is there imbibed in our mind. And that is what is called as ethics. Ethics are not something which you can change it to suit your own convenience. Somebody cannot say, I want to take money from my position as in the state, in the government, because I needed it very badly. Somebody was not well, I had to take care of my family. It's not a justification. Though there is an essential need for it, no doubt about it. But should somebody misuse the office that he's holding for his personal gain is a question. And therefore, if that is what is dharma and that is what is ethics. So ethics are not something that can be changed and amended to suit one's convenience, but they should be accepted as a universal truth and should be followed without compromise. So Chanakya expounded that thought very efficiently and also very strongly that if you don't have ethics, nothing will happen. So ethics, dharma, was the essence of our ancient philosophy for running the state, but for many other things. In that now, the topic today we talk about is public finance really. So when state deals with finance, it becomes public finance. What is the definition of public finance, or should be, if it is not already articulated in that way? The finance should be used for public. That's public finance. So government, the state, and that particular time when Chanakya was exposing this idea, it was a dynasty. There was a king who was ruling it. So king would collect money, not for his own good. He has to collect that money for the welfare of the people. And mind you, this particular idea that he has talked about public finance is, as I said, when there was no democracy of the kind that we are experiencing today. There was no hard and fast rules. What a king would say, that was a law into itself. So king decrees something, it becomes law. Even then he said, no, you have all the powers, but still you are bound by dharma. You have to follow ethics. So he said public finance should be used for benefit of the people. And that holds good any time, even today, or I'm sure even for another several centuries to come. Because where the government gets money. Now he has, of course, talked about various sources of that. Very interestingly, Chanakya talks about various sources. Whether you can collect tax, whether you can run government, business, or you can do some state enterprises, that is what we call it PSUs nowadays, or you can do even tax on trade or tax fines, etc., etc. That will not significantly change if you look at it like that. But what is important is state will have multiple sources, but major source of state income come from taxes. Now you have seen a movie called Lagan. In that there was agriculture tax. The government was forcing farmers to pay something to the state, whether you make money or not, but I should get it. So this is bereft of ethics. How can you get money when people are starving, and the farmer who is producing so much of food, so much agriculture from his farm, he's starving in his house, but government will take away the money from him. So the ethics become fundamental part, and the tax collection also should be that. Now just look at it like this. Where the government, as I said, public finance, and then by definition, it means there is something outside of public finance. It will be private finance. Now, private finance can be corporate finance. Private finance can be the household money. Private finance can be with non-state actors, whatever is there, it's a private finance. But that private finance, part of that, the government collects from taxes. So actually speaking, the private money becomes public finance. So therefore, there has to be a very efficient system to decide how much of the private money the government has right to impound as taxes. People will be very willing to pay taxes, provided that money goes into the welfare of the people. You are collecting that money for what? For running the state. But you are running the state for whom? You are not running the state for the welfare of the king at that particular time. But you are running the state, the king is the head of the state, but state has to do it for overall good of the people. And that is the point he has highlighted many times. Let's talk about equity. He said, you collect money, but must distribute it in a manner that it benefits most of the people, but also in an equitous manner. That means those who deserve more will get more. Like Dr. Kohli is also a mother. So she has 3 children, I'm just saying of any mother has many children, the mother will take care of the child who needs the most help. So that is what is the role of the state. The state should be like a mother who should try to collect money from everybody, but use only for those who need it most. And that was the principle he talked about how many years ago? 2,700 years ago, just imagine. And today it is still 2,300 years. But it is still valid today because more and more taxes we collect, it should not be collected for the sake of running the state. It should now, today we have decided to use a new pension scheme or unified pension scheme. So the already before we started this almost whole like 24,000 crores were spent on pension by state and central government together. Now more will be paid. So where that money will come for paying the pension? It will come from the taxes. Who will pay taxes now because we have GST? Everybody will pay tax. Not even one person will in India will not be paying tax because when you go and buy toothpaste, you go and buy stove, you can go and buy tea powder or sort of whatever it is, you are paying tax. So therefore, everybody is paying tax, and it should go to a very small number of people. It's not fair way of looking at it as Chanakya would look at it like this. So I think we should try to think in a proper way, but that was a principle that he expounded at that time. That taxes should be collected in a manner that should really going into everybody's period. So what he said, Chanakya, is this the only thought that we can look at Indian knowledge system? No, he would be one of the first. And his is recorded, it is scripted, it is available in some form. But even later years, many of the very benevolent kings, they did that. Only 400 years ago, 4 centuries ago, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, he actually had a fantastic system of governance. He would say that I will collect taxes only from those who are able to pay for it, as well as I will not levy taxes on the farmers or the people who are really poor and cannot afford to give it. He, and very interestingly, Chanakya as well as Shivaji Maharaj, but also many kings in between and even now, at that time, what is the population of the world? Hardly anything. And that time, Chanakya has written about environment. It is surprising. In fact, very interestingly, Gautam Buddha, who was going out of his palace, where he was uh, living as a prince, king, he comes out of his palace and starts walking, and he encounters the first, because he was coming out of the palace for self-search to find out how can he get happiness, not only for himself, but how can people will be happy and we can banish unhappiness from the world. That was his mission. So he comes out, Gautam Buddha, and what's the first scene he gets to see? The people are fighting over water. Now just imagine that time how much plenty of water were there. Hardly any people to share that water, but even then there were the fights. So what Chanakya said in his treatise for finance, public finance, that government tax collection should also be spent on protection of environment. So just imagine that time there was no problem. And same thing Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj said. What did he say? He said, if you cut the trees, I will cut your hands. So just imagine what a deterrent. A punishment will be commensurate with the offense you commit. So you have cut down something which has a life of its own. And how do you cut it out? You use your hands. So we should be punished. But why I'm saying whether that's the right way of punishment is a different matter. Point I'm saying is that was a deterrent. I don't think he would have gone and cut many hands like that. But point I'm saying is those days, even 400 years ago, we were blessed with a lot of natural resources. Time of Chanakya, even many times more. But even then they talked about environment protection. Are we doing that enough today? I think we really need to look at it very seriously. Also, when Chanakya talked about all this, economy, and he said economy should be run in a way that government, the state, the king, at that time king, should not interfere into the normal functioning at a marketplace. Can you imagine? Just imagine. And same thing, many rulers in India, after that, they did that. They realized that the trade must go on. So they created a lot of posts to support the traders to go from one place to another. So trade was something which was always encouraged. But just imagine what Chanakya is saying, that we should not interfere, though we should facilitate. Just imagine, what a thought, that we should facilitate trade because that's what will generate income, that's what will create wealth, that's what people will be happy. The role of the state should be making people happy. So to make that, develop entrepreneurship, you must encourage trade, and to do that, it should be done like this. But while doing that, he also said the state should facilitate but not interfere into demand, supply, etc. Good lesson for us today, that state should be arm's length from the market forces. Regulate it so that nobody can hoodwink it, but do it in a way that can be done. And that time when Chanakya talked about it, what was the economy of India? It was agrarian economy. Even at the time of independence, more than 80% of the GDP was coming from agriculture. Today it has changed. Agriculture is only 14% of India's GDP. So today, and that's what I said in the beginning, that if Chanakya was there today, he would say, oh, don't follow everything that I said. So now we have to change a bit, but principles remain the same. The ethics remain the same. That day, our Kamala Harris, she was grilled. Unlike in India, they grill politicians, on a television. So she was giving interview to CNN. Dana, who was interviewing her, she asked her that you have changed your position on so many issues. Like there is something called fracking, which is to take oil and gas by using a system which actually drills something into the rocks and gas and oil comes out. So fracking is important but also controversial because environmentally it is not good. So she was saying, you change your position. That particular time you opposed to fracking because that is what environmentalists like. So you wanted to please them, and now you change your position. She said, I have changed my policy position, but not my fundamental ethic position. So that's what is important. That today, economy may be agriculture at that time. It may be now today more services, more industry, less agriculture, but still fundamental principles don't change. And that is what is the importance of ancient Indian thought, knowledge, that some things cannot change, but we must have the ability to decide what should change and what should not change. Another important aspect of public finance, Chanakya expounded, was that you balance your expense and income. That means today we always take fancy in saying fiscal deficit. What is fiscal deficit? Borrowing. So state government borrows, central government borrows, everybody borrows. Chanakya said, as far as possible, you should spend as much as you have in your hand. Don't spend more than that. So this is the best conservatism in fiscal policy. This is the best principle for public finance. And that is what he talked about at that particular time. He also talked about, and very important for today, his money should be spent for human welfare, but also for animal welfare. Can you imagine? Today we have to create animal welfare board. In fact, it was part of my ministry when I was environment and forest. Can you imagine we have to create animal welfare board for what? It should be fundamental to our thinking. You must take care of humans, you must take care of animals, you must take care of all living beings. And that was a fundamental principle that we actually talked about at that particular time. Another interesting thing was Chanakya talked about audit. He talks about frauds and he talks about budgeting. So budgeting, and that's what I was explaining, that you must balance your expense and income. That's part of budgeting. But frauds and how to detect them, how to have audit system. So I'm happy that Chanakya was thinking about audit. I'm a chartered accountant. That means the auditor. So I think he was thinking about me and my profession at that time. But I'm saying, just imagine, to think like this on those days is very important because even those days, frauds were there. And therefore audit was necessary. And therefore punishment was necessary as a follow-up of that. But just imagine, why was it there? Because there were human beings that time also. Human beings will always tend to do something wrong. And that's what Chanakya realized, that we must also have a system to detect it and work on it. And therefore, I think this is a very important aspect, that changes happen, but something don't change. The human beings have done a lot of progress, but somewhere in the human beings are not changed, that they will like to take as much as possible for their personal gain. That's why we must have a deterrent position. The state must have diverse source of income. He talked about it that particular time. And today everybody is thinking about it in a very significant way. And I think we must really now use this as the fundamental ideas, not follow them blindly, but use Indian knowledge system, the ethos of that, the principles on which this knowledge system is based, is will guide us all the time. There was nothing like GST during the time of Chanakya. But that doesn't mean Chanakya didn't realize it. He said, you can tax goods also. That is a GST. That time services were very few, so he didn't think about it probably. But I'm saying the fundamental principles on which the public finance are based are not changed and should not change. We should follow, and the most important part of that is build on ethics. You must have a public finance, should be run on the basic principles of ethical philosophy. And if you don't do that, you'll never succeed. So thank you very much. I would be, I have some, but I'm sure Dr. Kohli is a very good friend, and I really respect her for what she's doing. She's a very genuine human being. So I could not say no to when she told me to join in this program. So I'm somewhere where I have to go for something else, but I'll answer one or two questions for sure.
Yeah, truly obliged, sir. You have always been supporting us, and we also look into that your support goes for the larger benefit, not just limited to Vedanta College. So that's why we invite you every time, where the audience and participants are from all over the country. So I had two questions. We had many questions from the participants, but we selected just two of them. Amongst them, one I believe you have explained to a great extent, that is, in what ways does the IKS concept of dharma intersect with the modern notions of ethical investing and social responsible finance. So to a great extent you explained, but if you could put a few more words on this particular question.
No, these are very important. I would say it's a very fundamental question. You know, there is another very interesting thing recently. I talked about Chanakya, then I talked about Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. I talked about so many benevolent kings, Rajput kings, and many others who ruled India, who ruled different parts of the country, but with a singular motive of doing good for everybody. That's why we even remember them today. If there was a kings who have plundered for themselves, would not even remember their names, will hate them and would have forgotten them. But I remembered because of this. What is that they did? They followed dharma. What did they do? They realized that I am a king and I'm sitting on a throne. I got all the sovereign powers. My word is the law, but I will not use a word for the bad of the people. And that is what is dharma. He was knowing with his own mind that I may be having huge power, but there is somebody who is there much, much more powerful than I am. I am a very finite life. He has an infinite presence. And that power is something which rules the world. So he was always thinking, the king was always thinking, that I have to follow the dictates of that particular power, that particular sovereign. I'm a sovereign, but that is supernatural power. And that's why my power comes because I'm a human being. People have elected me, not elected into election, but accepted me as a king. Maybe because I was born in a particular family, or because I was so great warrior that people made me a king. But still, I must follow that. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. There was a big saint living near his his fort, Ramdas Swami. He went one day and gave his entire kingdom to the Swamiji and said, "This is yours." Of course, Swamiji was also real Swamiji. So he said, "No, I cannot accept it. It is your job as a king to run it, but you please run it." So just imagine, the king is giving his entire kingdom to the Swamiji, and Swamiji returning back to him saying, "It is not, I don't own it." So this is where the important part of our human life comes in. Each of them knew that what is that they have to follow. What are the red lines? I should do this, but should not do that. So dharma is ethics. Dharma is following something which is universally true. Understanding the pains of people is dharma. So recently, Mahatma Gandhi, so it's about maybe less than a century ago, he said once that how can a person sleep in peace when he knows that his neighbor is hungry and still sleeping without a food? That is dharma. If you feel others' pain, that is dharma. If you can solve others' problems, it is dharma. If you can protect the weak, that's dharma. That's what a king always did. They went to support the king. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj fought such huge battles against foreign rulers, against aggressors. For whose benefit? That was for the benefit of the poorest of the poor people. And that is dharma. You must protect the rights of those who don't have a voice. You also take care of environment because trees have no voice. The biodiversity doesn't speak. But you must take care of that also because they are living beings. And therefore, that is what is dharma. Dharma is understanding the rules of the law of the nature, that nature has created all these creatures. I must take care of them. And therefore, keeping balance between different society, different sections of society, but taking care of those who need the help the most is dharma.
And the second question is, sir, that in what ways does the understanding of Maya under IKS intersect with the modern debates on nature of money, possessions, and financial investments?
See, Maya is a myth. Maya is something which you feel like you're walking in the desert and you see an oasis. So everybody chases the oasis. And in the quest of doing that, then finally realizes this is just a Maya, this is nothing like oasis. So if you look at it broadly on a very big picture scale, life is a Maya. Because I keep chasing, saying that I'm going to leave this. You must have read Sidney Sheldon's book, Rage of the Angels, where that very super rich man, he wants to live life forever. And therefore he acquires everything possible so that he can live forever. But he has everything else, but has no control of life. Everybody passes from this world. The Guinness Books of World Record can say he has lived for 120 years. That's all. Not more than that. Somebody might have even another 20 years, but not beyond that. So that is what is the reality of life. Is that what we think that this is all Maya. But still, what motivates people to do something is also Maya. See, Maya is not real, but what is not real is also real in particular time frame. See, for example, when you are living your life, you want to do something entrepreneur. You want to do something in music. You want to do something in art, in culture, in education. You want to have a physical strength. All of that is finally going to end because, of course, music and what you create will remain here, but the creator will not be there. So all of this, what we think we are creating, has a particular lifespan, has a particular relevance. Like just imagine the Roman Empire was one of the biggest empires. The Mughal Empire was even bigger than that. What happened to all these empires? Nobody knows. Mongol Empire, which was Genghis Khan's empire, he was from Mongolia. There was nothing called Mongolia at that time. There was no country. Now, if you go to Mongolia today, that is one of the poorest countries in the world. So was that not the Maya that he thought I have created the biggest empire? And today it doesn't even exist. And the Mongolians live a very poor life. So that is what is Maya. But still, did what Genghis Khan did was wrong? No. He realized that he is doing something to create a kingdom for himself. Incidentally, Genghis Khan was not particular religion. His religion was only blue skies. That's what religions were born much later. So he never followed a particular religion because he Genghis Khan people may think he belongs to a particular religion. No, he used to always go and worship the blue sky, and he used to get all his inspiration from the blue sky. Just imagine the enlightenment. He used to think about that. So what is important is Maya is also real for some time. And Maya is, in real sense, Maya, if you take a medium term view or long term view. So, but short term, you can also live with that Maya because our life is also meant to have some pleasure, some enjoyment. How to do that pleasure and enjoyment? The saint will do pleasure and enjoyment by meditation. You and me can do it. Somebody will say, I read book and I get all the pleasure. Somebody say, I watch movies and get the pleasure. Somebody says, sing song and get all the pleasure. Somebody may eat and get pleasure. All of this is Maya in a way. But still, for that particular point of time, we have been born with that particular purpose. Not everybody understand the purpose, and maybe the purpose of somebody is to create music. That may be the purpose, because everybody, otherwise, if each person had the same purpose, then why so many people would have been born on the planet to begin with? We have more than 7 billion people on the planet. So anyway, Maya is Maya. But in finance sphere, if you look at it, the money is Maya. But still you need money for many things. And that's what even Chanakya talked about. So we should be realizing that money is Maya, but use it. But if you realize that, if you know it, that it's a Maya, you have done both. You have realized the purpose of it and you are using it only as an instrument. So you are actually aloof from it.
Okay. Amazing, sir. Incredible. Your words always are exceptional. We every time listen to you and we feel you should go on and on. Your talk should not end at all. You're so well read and seriously, I'm falling short of words to say that how do you have so much of knowledge and more than that to remember everything and connect it with whatever topic you have to speak upon. That is seriously incredible. We are really very fortunate and privileged, sir. And I want to tell everybody, all the audience and the participants, that sir is so approachable and so simple and modest that we can't even believe ourselves that we tell him that we want to host your talk and he agrees and we are able to do it. But I always get very good response and very good feedback. I have shared with you in the earlier episodes also, and I'm sure even today the participants are and audience are overwhelmed by your talk and your wisdom. So now I request Neetu to give a short vote of thanks.
Hello, good evening. My name is Neetu Gidwani and I'm working with Vedanta College as a head of commerce department. So on behalf of Vedanta College and Shankarlal Sundarbai Shasan College, it is my great honor to deliver the vote of thanks for today's session of the national level faculty development program on Indian knowledge system. First and foremost, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Suresh Prabhu sir for his invaluable presence and the enlightening session on the financial system and its relation to Indian knowledge system. Sir, your profound insights and the breadth of your experience have greatly enriched our understanding and provided us with fresh perspectives that will undoubtedly influence our future endeavors. Your dedication to education, public service, and sustainable development continues to inspire us all. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our principal, Dr. Sangeeta Kohli, Madam, teaching, non-teaching staff, and the entire organizing committee for making this their tireless efforts in making this program a whole success. The seamless execution of today's event is a testament to their hard work and commitment. To our esteemed participants, thank you for your active engagement and thoughtful contributions throughout this session. It is your enthusiasm and dedication to learning that makes such programs truly, truly impactful. Lastly, a special thanks to our technical team and the support staff who have worked diligently behind the scenes to ensure that everything ran smoothly. Thank you once again, Mr. Suresh Prabhu sir, and thank you to everyone who made this session a whole success. We look forward for the same enthusiasm and participation for tomorrow's enriching session also. Thank you so much.
Thank
Sir,
you.
your
Dhanyavad.
this
Thank you, Dr. Kohli. I'll see you soon.
yeah, this session will be a good resource for all the faculty for their lectures on IKS under NEP, sir. Thank you
No,
so
definitely.
much.
I'll come. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot.